Well, good morning, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio, here once again to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. And I will tell you who's coming up on this week's show here over the course of the next few minutes. But first of all, so glad to have you along with us on a morning that is, it's kind of warm. Kind of a little bit foggy earlier. Hey, Craig, good morning. How are you, buddy? Your Ask Avery questions, two of them, the one about spearing and the one about turkeys, I'm going to use for this week's Ask Avery segment. And we're not talking about spearing turkeys. It's two different questions. Tim, good morning. How are you? Always a pleasure to have you along with us. Say hi to Jen for us. Brent, good morning. Say hi to Tracy for me. Appreciate that. Appreciate you being along with us on this edition of Behind the Mic. And I look forward to seeing you both at our big Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction coming up Saturday, March 2nd. Jerry, good morning. How are you? Appreciate you joining me on this edition of Behind the Mic here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Jen says, hey. Hey, Jen. How are you? Justin says, whoa. Let's not rule out spearing turkeys. I was thinking about that. Could you legally spear a turkey? Justin, you tell me, Justin with mucc.org. Could you legally spear a turkey? That's a good question. What's the answer, Justin? You know, not legally you couldn't. Okay. Because you can, I mean, I've seen videos online. Who is the Tim Wells spears everything? Of course, he's not here in Michigan. Tim Bin says, I'm sure it's legal. Justin Tomei says, it's not legal. Paul says, hey, good morning. I'm recovering from my gastric sleeve I had yesterday. Paul, congrats. Been there. It's a life-changing experience. I wish you nothing but luck. Another friend of mine had his last week. It can change your life. Yep. So good luck. Tim says, what? Dang it. Well, you can do anything, Tim, as long as you don't get caught. Good morning, Joel. How are you? Uncle Johnny, how are things going down there? Thanks for taking my bride with you this morning. Hope everything is going well. Joel, good morning. How are you? Yeah, no problem, Paul. Tim, good morning. How are you? On this midweek live stream here. What does that mean, Bruce? I can't tell what that says. But anyway, Bruce, good morning to you. Thanks for joining me here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Again, this is going to be for the first radio show I'm going to record here for the month of February. Where did January go? Johnny Bowler, the Bear Whisperer. Johnny, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for donating a bear hunt and UP brook trout trip for our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. 1.bidpal.net for tickets if there are any left. 1.bidpal.net. Martin, good morning. Thank you for joining us here on Behind the Mic. I'll be back tonight from my office at the house to do another Wednesday Night Live, the last Wednesday Night Live for the month of January. Again, where did the month go? Days are getting longer. Have you noticed that? Definitely feel the days getting longer. Hey, Doug. Captain Doug Ward, thank you, Doug, for donating your services and donating a trip to the Trinity Monitor Dinner. Justin, January was the longest year of his life. Why, are you a Lions fan? Hey, that was a heck of a game, wasn't it? It was not meant to be. They did not play well the second half, and to be honest, didn't deserve to win that game. But it was still a heck of a season. Anybody who is disappointed, I think you're not looking at this from a longer range perspective. Would it have been cool to have the Lions in the Super Bowl? Absolutely. But there's next year. Now, the Lions did choke. So what's going to happen with Michigan next year? New coach, right? Anyway, it was a great year to be a football fan in the state of Michigan. John, good morning. How are you? Hey, Justin, have you talked with Nick about the golf outing? You were on here when we talked about it. It does look like it's a go, quite possibly the last Monday in July. Good morning, Pastor. How are you? Always a pleasure to have you along with us. How are things in the North Country? Randy, how are things in Orlando? Or do I even have to ask? Tim says, unless you're like MSU. At what age can you start hunting without a tutor? The word they use is mentor. Justin, chime in for me. John, good morning. Two Johns, John Wild, John McCormick. All right, Johnny. Johnny's either plowing or he's fighting a fire or he's doing something. But he's always doing something exciting up there in the Ute. I do hope to be bear hunting with Johnny Bowler, the Bear Whisperer, this September. Jim, how are things in Tennessee? Appreciate you joining us. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of things here. Thank you, Tommy, and always a pleasure to have you along with us. Johnny says he's cutting trees today. Joe says 9 and under, I think. That number's not ringing a bell for me. Good point, Scott. Don't need to see the groundhog to see spring is... I can't take this caller right now, so I'm going to have to... Okay. Justin says it depends. Okay, Justin, here's the definitive answer right here. It depends. A minor can hunt on the property they live on solo. Otherwise, it's 17. Corey, how are you? I had a post earlier. Actually, it's been late last week now. And it was a flyer for, again, our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction, Saturday, March 2nd. Go to one.bidpal.net for tickets. The poster showed two words, among many others. One of them said gun raffle. Oh, my God, we said gun on Instagram. And Instagram deleted it because it said it went against their community standards. Now, Instagram will post video of half-naked teenage girls dancing in front of a camera, and that's okay. But I posted a flyer for a fundraising dinner for our church auction where we just happened to be auctioning off guns, among many other things, and enjoying a wonderful wild game dinner with some great fellowship and friends to raise money for a good cause. Instagram banned it. So we took out the word gun and posted it again. It's a funny world we live in. Captain Jim headed to Florida for a couple of weeks, saying goodbye to the cold. Andy says, time to unwrap the boat, head out to the bay. Don't tell your dad that, Justin, because you were hunting a lot younger, weren't you? I know I was. Brent says, Belichick will head to coach at Michigan and Brady will... Oh, boy, you guys are full of it this morning. David, good morning. Ron St. Louis, Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters up in White River, Ontario, Canada. Doug says, good point. So I hear you have to dance half naked with a gun and then you're okay. Tim says 3 things: guns, God, and church. Meta hates those 3 things. Kevin said he's still ice fishing in West Branch. Kevin, Scott says your voice and your audio aren't matching. It's like an old Godzilla movie. It's either a slow internet connection on your end or on mine. Oh, let me see what this is coming in here right here. Okay, I don't think she meant to send that to me. Lisa, Huron Pines has a fundraiser to replace the Cornwall. Lisa, you have been so good at keeping the Cornwall flooding situation out there. Tim says it's good on his end. Tim checking in from Skidway. Mike Sills. Okay, this is a good point to tell you who's on the show this week. Mike Sills, a Michigan outdoorsman, is going to join me on the show this week. But first, the airborne angler, Marty Saliga. He's the guy who's been flying Saginaw Bay, recording ice conditions. And if you're still out there on the ice, God help you. Mike Sills, Michigan Outdoorsman, will join me as well. And then Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. In our second hour, Corky Legui talks about beagles and bunnies. Maybe I should have had him on a few weeks ago, but I didn't. He's on now. Then I think Nick Green of MUC. This week's Ask Avery segment deals with two questions from my friend Craig Plowman, dealing with spearing and dealing with turkeys, and we're not talking about spearing turkeys. And then in our third hour, Captain Paul Schlafly of Riverside Charters in Manistee talks about steelhead fishing on the Manistee River for the rest of the winter. And of course, we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. Paul Schlafly also donated a fishing trip, this one, a May trip in the afternoon during the month of May for salmon on Lake Michigan. Let me go back and check up some of these other comments I've been missing here. Chris says, snow in the Yoop. Get to see Johnny Bowler. I will not be at the Michigan Bear Hunters Convention in March. Not going to make it this year. Tim says, all good there. Mickey, good morning. Steve, my Trinity brother, how are you? Thank you for everything you're doing there with keeping our church in good shape. Bill, Indiana temperatures are the same as upper Michigan's this year. Feel bad for Michigan's businesses that rely on winter. Doug says Martin's a great dude. He's a good guy. Airborne is a blessing, Scott says. Brent, good morning. How are you? Okay, Jordan, he was out in the Keweenaw River last night looking for whitefish in the boat. In the Keweenaw, Jordan, you were on. Wow. You're right. It hasn't been much of a winter, has it? Mary, good morning. Daryl checking in from White River, Ontario. Two people from White River on here this morning. I have much respect for both. Daryl Godden, I have his comment up right now. If you want to hunt wolves in Canada, Daryl is your guy. Also, Ron St. Louis is on here this morning. If you want to hunt bears in White River, Ron is your guy. Okay, Joel says, did you see that Hopkins Trophy Whitetail Ranch is up for sale? Got an extra $4 million lying around? Well, Joel, I did. I had an extra $4 million in my pocket until yesterday. And then my wife and I went to Costco and we stocked up on all kinds of food for the next 45 years. So my $4 million is now down to 3.5. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to buy the Trophy Whitetail Ranch. Bill Hoffman, Michigan, the most interesting man in Michigan, says he hunted Oakland County yesterday. It felt weird. I bet it did. I bet you were like looking over your shoulder for the game warden the whole morning or evening. Hey, Bill? Anyway, Bill, always it's a pleasure to have you checking in. Okay. On the Trinity dinner, there are still some tickets left, but I keep plugging it because we will sell out. We have several things we're giving away. Tim says, you aren't lying about Costco. I like Costco prices, but it's awfully hard to go in there without spending money. We go there and we browse sometimes just for the snacks because it's real close to the house. 1.bidpal.net. We're auctioning off an African safari, a 3-day guided turkey hunt, an Illinois bow hunt, a UP bear hunt, a predator hunt, a youth hunt, a Lake Michigan fishing trip, walleye fishing trips on Saginaw Bay and the Detroit River, a UP brook trout fishing trip, Michigan brand products for a year. I mean, we've got so many good things. Best way to... Bill Hoffman makes a very astute observation here. The best way to have $4 million in your pocket while working in the outdoor industry is to start out with $5 million. Yep. Oh, thank you for that reminder, Craig. Tomorrow is the last day to apply for turkey tags. I just buy mine over the counter. What is it? What is the one? $234. What's the one? I always get the private... I get the Southern Michigan private land 6-week season. Josh Mapes is back at me with all caps again. Good luck on that project, Josh. Kevin, ice is good in front of my house, but not venturing out on the main lake. Tim says, with this weather, I hope the deer herd will be in good shape for this year. Are you talking UP deer, Tim? I don't feel, and I'm no biologist, and I'm no expert. ZZ, thank you, Craig. I don't feel like our southern Michigan herd is ever negatively affected by the weather. UP, yes. Jim, good morning. Craig reminds me it's Hunt ZZ. ZZ, you can buy over the counter. It's a 6-week season. I mean, that's the way to go. If you're hunting southern Michigan and you have access to private land, ZZ is the way to go. My hunts for this year: ZZ springtime turkey hunt, mid-August bear hunt in White River, hopefully a September bear hunt with Johnny Bowler in the UP, and then an October whitetail hunt with Bill Piles of Ohio Bow Hunting Outfitters. That is the 21st through the 25th. Ohio Bow Hunt. Gene checking in from Apex. How are you, Gene? I did see that, Jerry. Very, very interesting. Very cool. Doug and his dad, let's see, Doug is here right now. Pop's seen a few bucks on the camera yet with antlers still intact. Matt Schock. Matt is the guy who is donating the predator hunt. Now, Matt, you like that to be one person, right? I think they talked you into 2 people last year, but I think you like it to be one person. Cliff, I got your question for the Ask Avery segment. I will try to find out. Tim says, do you think it will get to the point that we have closed areas for turkeys? I don't know. It's a good question, Tim. There's no doubt that the turkey population is not what it was here in Michigan. It's not what it was years ago, but that's the same that's across the country. Turkey populations are on the decline across the country. The biologists don't know why. Charlie Rood probably knows why, because he is the keeper of all knowledge. And he's with me here now in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio.
I don't want to steal any glory, so I'll defer to the experts.
Okay. Charlie, being the humble man that he is. Matt says, correct. One person, one hunt. But I might be persuaded to help out a little bit more during the auction. Matt, I thought you weren't going to be there. I thought you weren't going to make it. So glad that you are going to be there. Rick says, have you heard anything from Woods and Water News? I have not received the February edition yet. Well, it just so happens that I have Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News on the show this week. I will ask him. Robert says turkeys are exploding in the eastern UP. Gladwin only has 1 seats on this. What does that mean? Maybe I'm not reading it right. Gladwin only has 1 seats on this year for turkey. Help me out, Jim. Lack of acorns, big part of the issues with turkey. Maples taking over the forest, John says. Hey, John, I haven't heard from you in a while. How have you been? Are you still at that same job you were at? 1 season, Jim says. Okay, let me go back to this. Gladwin only has 1 season on this year for turkey. Huh. Okay, Matt, let's talk about that. Matt said if we can get a good price with 2 people bidding, I might add another hunt. So, Matt, shoot me a text or something. Let me know what your number is. If we cross that number, you'll give away a second hunt. God bless you. Thank you for that. Doug Ward, curious. The coyote population affecting turkey population. That is one of the theories, that predators are knocking them down. Another theory is that there's some kind of a weird disease. You could talk to our mutual friend Scott Hand on that. He has a very interesting theory on that. Same job, changing in 6 months, though. Well, good luck to you, John. Robert, predator population is expanding due to the limited hunting due to fur prices.
2 minutes.
Charlie Root say 2 minutes. Any update on the rod limit change? No, that it's still in the works. If you would like to support this, the best way to do it is if you are a member of a conservation group, a hunting group, a fishing group, get the buy-in of your group. Because the way the DNR, NRC, see, the legislature is getting, and this is, the legislature has to get involved in this, which is always, you're right, you're taking your chances. So the legislature wants to see as many groups buying into the concept as possible to increase their comfort level. Justin, help me out. This is the way I'm seeing this, to increase their comfort level to give this thing the green light. Okay, Corey, turkeys all over around by me. We have a healthy coyote population too. Rick, hunting in Iosco County for turkeys been a rough year for the last 2 years. Jerry, where did he go? Jerry, I was at a gun show this weekend and heard of a wolf caught in a trap here in Michigan that had a collar. I don't doubt it. Don't doubt it at all. We do have collared wolves in the UP, and trappers routinely in the UP get wolves in their traps. They have to let them go, of course. Mike, good morning. The properties I hunt have been the same for years, but driving around, I don't see as many turkeys as usual when I leave the areas I hunt. We do a lot of predator control around us, though.
All right. 15 seconds.
Charlie, that darn Charlie Rude. 15 seconds, he says. I only have 15 seconds with you folks.
I got 10.
Charlie, you and that clock drive me crazy.
And now you got
5, 4,
2.
1, blast off. That's what I'm hearing. Which means I got to go to work. Can you really call it work? Charlie said, where do you want the corn? Just let me know. All right, my friends. As I continue to deal with a runny nose here. Not COVID. I got to change focus here from this interaction with you to recording the radio show. I told you who's on the show. But I will be back tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. Hope you can join me. I look forward to seeing you then. All right, my friends, have a great day. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. And so glad to have you along with us as we record the first radio show for the month of February. How did it get to be February already? Where did the month of January go? I don't know what the groundhog saw, because as I'm sitting here in the studio, it hasn't happened yet. But it does feel to me, I'm not a meteorologist, I don't even play one on TV, but it does feel like, I don't know, I think it's going to be an early spring. Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa, when I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, kind of gave me that indication. He says once we got through that cold spell, that we had kind of made it. I would like to think so, but I'm not an ice fisherman. Days are certainly getting longer. You can't deny that, right? Even if you want winter to stick around, if you want a bunch of snow, if you want a bunch of ice, you can't deny the days are getting longer. Along with that, though, and the warm temps, ice conditions across a lot of the state really suspect now if there is indeed ice where you like to fish at all. Now, it makes it's very hard for me doing a statewide radio show that geographically reaches from Battle Creek to Iron Mountain. Boy, conditions are really going to be different there, right? And also, combine that with the fact that I record the show a couple of days before you actually hear it. You know, on these shoulder months, as I call them, these transitional months, in the fall when we're transitioning from fall to winter, in theory. In the springtime now, February-ish, March-ish, when you're transitioning from what should be winter into spring, it's really hard to get a handle on what's going on in your specific area. So I'm not going to try to do that. You know what's going on in your neck of the woods. You know what's going on as you look out the window. You know what's going on as you stand on the shore of your favorite river or lake. I guess the question is, will you be out there on the ice or will you be out there in a boat? Either way, there's some good fishing to be had if indeed you can get out there. I had an interesting situation here this last week. I posted a flyer for our big Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction coming up Saturday, March 2nd. Again, we still have a few tickets left. Go to one.bidpal.net, one.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor, and you can get your tickets to join us at the Great Hall in Midland. More details on that coming up. But I posted a flyer for that event, and there was a bunch of information on the flyer talking about, where, when, how to get tickets, the things we're giving away. And one of the terms that was used on the flyer was, God forbid, gun raffle. Now keep in mind, this is a fundraiser for my church and our parochial school. So it's not like we're out there doing nefarious things. We're not out there committing crimes. We're not out there inciting violence. In fact, just the opposite. But the flyer said gun raffle. Oh boy. Instagram didn't like it. Instagram sent me a note. They said, we have deleted your post because it goes against our community standards. So I'm thinking about this. If you go to Instagram right now and start poking around, the things you can see on Instagram are borderline disgusting and certainly disturbing. But they didn't want to see a flyer that said gun raffle. Wow. It's an interesting world that we live in. Now, I was talking about this very thing on a behind the mic segment here in the studio. And, somebody said, well, if you had young teenage girls in bikinis dancing with a gun in their hand, that would have been okay. But to post a flyer for a church fundraising dinner that said gun raffle, they didn't like that. So we redid the flyer, and we took out the word gun, and it just says raffles. They couldn't ding us on that one. Oh, boy. Hey, speaking of that dinner, coming up Saturday, March 2nd, one.bidpal.net, one.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor. Still some tickets available. Some of the hunts, and this is just the live auction only. African safari, an Illinois bow hunt, a 3-day guided Michigan turkey hunt has been added to this, a UP bear hunt, youth hunts, predator hunts for fishing trips, a Lake Michigan salmon fishing trip, a walleye fishing trip on the Detroit River, 2 Saginaw Bay walleye fishing trips, a UP brook trout fishing trip. We also have Michigan brand products for a year. We have so many great auction items. One.bidpal.net. That's one.bidpal.net. But if you see a flyer, it will not say gun raffles. But believe me, we are raffling off a bunch of guns as well. What else is going on? Oh, our Ohio bow hunt is still in the planning. That's with Bill Piles of Ohio Bow Hunting Outfitters, ohiobowhuntingoutfitters.com. The dates, I think, October 21 through 25. Check with Bill on that, or send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. If you are looking to make your first out-of-state hunt, and you're a little hinky about it, and you would feel more comfortable going with a group of people that you know, being me, in an area that I know very well, with an operation that I have hunted with many times, if that would ease your comfort on your first out-of-state hunt, or if you're looking for an out-of-state hunt that is close, it's drivable, and it's pretty inexpensive, just before the rut, I would encourage you to take a look at that. Again, the website, ohiobowhuntingoutfitters.com, ohiobowhuntingoutfitters.com. You can get in touch with Bill Piles there, or you can send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, and I can help to make that happen. I would love to have you join us. Also, the concept, the trial balloon of the Mike Avery Outdoors golf outing is really getting legs. I mentioned this last week on the show, and I had several people say, sign us up. Sign up a foursome from us. Also, we'd like to help sponsor the event. We'd like to help be a whole sponsor, a long drive sponsor, a longest putter, whatever. And it looks like if this thing comes together, and I believe it will now, I don't think it can be stopped at this point now, we would use the proceeds for MUCC's Camp for Kids. I mean, how good is this? A golf outing to benefit kids in the outdoors. I don't think it gets any better than that, right? Okay, coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine show, which is the reason I'm here, right? After the break, the airborne angler, Marty Saliga, will join me. Marty is a very, very interesting guy. A few years ago, he started this franchise, Airborne Angler, of flying over the east side of the state, primarily Saginaw Bay, but up the east coast as well, up the Saginaw River, looking for ice conditions. He's been a valuable, valuable resource for ice anglers the past few years. I think that ice season is pretty much over, but Marty's still out there flying. We'll talk to him about that. Then, Mike Sills, the Michigan outdoorsman. If you look up Mike online, either he's on Facebook, he's on YouTube, he's on Instagram. This guy travels our state, and he seems to have a very keen ability to hone in on the hot spots across our state. I want to pick his brain just a little bit. And then Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. Haven't talked to Tom for a couple of weeks. In our second hour, Corky Legui talks about beagles and bunnies. Is that season over now? Because, snow is pretty much gone for a lot of the lower peninsula. Or can you still get out there with a beagle and chase bunnies? It's part of our wintertime heritage, our wintertime tradition here in Michigan. Then Nick Green of MUCC will check in. This week's Ask Avery question, it's a twofer. It deals with two questions, one of them being spearing and one of them being turkeys. But I'm not talking about spearing turkeys. Don't go down that. Don't go down that area. I'm not saying you can go out and spear turkeys. It's two different questions. We will answer them both. And then in our third hour, Captain Paul Schlafly, one of the most respected fishing guides and charter captains in Michigan. He's out of Riverside Charters in Manistee. I'm going to check in with him live from the Manistee River to see how the fishing is. By the way, Paul donated that Lake Michigan fishing trip to us for our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. It is a May trip for 4 anglers, an afternoon trip. So if you want to get in on that, you've got to get your tickets to our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. Now, I've started something here in the past couple of weeks that's been very popular, and I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. Dixie Dave has been doing recipes on this show forever. He gets those recipes out of his big wild game cookbook. For some reason, I wasn't smart enough until now to post the recipes from his cookbook on my Facebook page. I started doing that, and people are saying, oh, thank you so much. It's so hard to write those down. So all that to look forward to. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Look forward to hearing from you, and thanks for joining us right here on Outdoor Magazine. Jerry says the wolf was in Sheboygan County. Was killed in a trap with a collar. I don't believe it, Jerry. I don't believe it. I would like to be proven wrong, but I don't believe it. All right, I got to go. I'll talk to you tonight, 7 o'clock, for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. A couple of things I got to take care of here business-wise. We start the next segment of the show. Have a good day, my friends.